Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Today is Thursday, August 5th. What I remember the most about August, as a kid, going up all the way to college, is the ever-looming sorrow, sadness of going back to school. And I remember back when it would hit August, you'd be like, okay, summer vacation is over. It's over. The fun's over. No more hanging out with your friends that much every day like you used to. Gotta try to get your sleeping schedule back on track. Back when you were like very, very young, you would have to get your sleeping schedule back on track, get some supplies, dig out your backpack, find a pencil. And you would wait till the last minute. You would just wait till maybe, I don't know when you would go back to school, but for me, back in high school, it was always around August 16th, around that area, around that time, mid-August. And then you'd be like, okay, we're back in school again. But you kind of appreciate that back then because it wasn't as serious. It wasn't like you got to prepare anything online really as much. You don't really got to buy anything really because you got your parents to buy it for you. You don't really got to buy a book or anything. You don't got to buy, you just got to buy a binder, some pencils, a notebook. That's about it really, some utensils. You don't got to worry about books, and then once you get to college, my situation, I went to community college, for a few years. Then I went to university, but even in that, just that shock of having to buy your own textbooks, and buy your own pretty much everything. Calculators, computers, tablets, what have you, software, applications. I remember back in the day when I first went to community college, you would have to buy an online code to use a textbook. And I was just so bizarre, why is it this much money? I remember it was $80-something for just some rinky-dink program on a computer that you could, you would get so frustrated with or so mad at every night and day because, again, the way it works is just it was just annoying. And you would so much rather just be can't we just do the homework on paper and not on this shitty service? I remember thinking to myself, technology is supposed to be making things easier, making learning better, but it was just making it more and more annoying. And then that was when I was oh man, I just literally, I never, in my wildest dreams would have thought, I wish it was just on paper. I wish the homework was just on paper. I wish we didn't have to do this online stuff. I wish it wasn't this tedious. Because, in mathematics, everything is you got to show your steps. How did you get from point A to point B, C, D, whatever? In some cases, some problems, you'd be okay, I started at A, and now I'm at point Z. This is it. This is the problem. This is how it works. And if it's not right, I got to go back and do it all over again. Math was always just so hard for me because of that. So many steps to get to from, one point to the next is it just seems so tedious and annoying. I was just I'm not a fan of math, and I never have been a fan of math because of that. As soon as it went from 1 + 1 = 2, and then we got into more steps, I was all right, I'm out. I'm okay. This is not for me. This just is not for me. And then, I got pretty good at that, though. Times tables I was pretty good at. Division tables I was pretty good at. Subtraction, addition, I was pretty good at those. When you had to do those problems in under a minute or whatever it was, you just got to go as fast as you can. I was okay at those. I wasn't that bad. But as soon as they introduced long division, I was whoa. Now we're wasting time here. Now my time is being used to figure out this silly equation to fucking, be done with my homework. It just became a drag. It was always one of the worst feelings when you would just be sitting on one problem, right, and just not getting it right. And maybe it's because I'm an idiot, I'm stupid. I would never even, like, I remember, like, you would have textbooks as a kid where it'd be like you would have to read in order to figure out how to do a problem or how to set up an equation. You'd actually have to read it. You'd go home and read about it, read a chapter or two, and then do the math. I feel like math is just so much better taught, when somebody's, got a whiteboard, chalkboard, whatever, and just teaching you that way. Because reading it on a piece of paper and then seeing like some, example problems, which are always easier than the actual homework, by the way. Like, you can't even like take what you learned from the example and like program it into your brain and use it in the actual assignment. It's just not even like comparable. It's not even close to what you're going to do for the homework. It's not even fair, really. Maybe that's just my idiocy and like just not being able to learn. Maybe I just couldn't learn that well. And then maybe there was just like laziness, not wanting to do anything and just be like, I don't want to do this. So August has always been that month like, okay, we got to get back ready for school. And I just remember like, getting all prepared and stuffing my backpack with a bunch of shit that I would never even think of using at the end of the year. Like, I remember I bought a ruler that was also a 3-hole puncher. Did I ever use that at the end of the year? No, not even close. In fact, as the year progressed, more stuff I wouldn't take to school because my back would be killing me. For real, because like when you're in elementary school, when you're in junior high, you got to lug all those books around with you every day. They would kind of divide the classes up weekly so you wouldn't have to carry them at once all the time. But for the most part, I didn't do that much because you would always need like the biggest binder. I remember if you had like a 3-inch binder, you were a good kid. That was the binder that was, you were smart. Because if you had like a 2-inch, 2.5-inch, 1-inch, you're like, oh, you can't be in school. Got to go home and get a bigger binder. Remember that? Like they would actually put you into categories. Like if you had a good binder, right? If it wasn't crinkled, if it wasn't like drawn on, if it was the right size, you were already in the eyes of the teachers. You were already like, this guy is smart. This kid is smart. He's gonna do good things. And then the kid with like the little 1-inch binder, like obviously, like what the hell were you thinking, bro? Did you not read the syllabus or whatever that they give you? It says 3-inch binder. And then you think like, oh, but I thought it was, 2.5. Like, no, you didn't read it. See, at the end of the day, it's like kind of like, you weed out whoever is an idiot or not by whatever binder they bring on the first day of school. So, in that aspect, it kind of works. It kind of is like, this is how we're going to determine who's smart and who's not. Who can follow instructions or who can't. So, I mean, like, it was also fun because they would make you buy these dividers in to put with the binder. To be organized, to be well prepared. I remember, like, for the first week of school, you were all into that. You would be like, I'm going to be organized, I'm going to be better this year because last year wasn't the best of mine. But you always end up in the same place as you were in the last year. A mess. An absolute mess. And to think that we could actually change that, you would always be like, okay, this is the year. This is the year. This is going to be the year. And then it never really happens. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I was never into school that much and I just didn't care. But it was like, it always ended up in madness and in just an absolute despair, where you would actually just put papers that you would receive in school in your backpack, not even in a notebook, not even in a binder or a folder, just in the backpack. You would crinkle it up or just, put it like in a nice file. Like the backpack was just one big folder and at the end of the day, and you would just slide it in there like, okay, yep, that's where it is. I'm going to find it right there. I'm not going to lose it because I know where it is. Where if it's in a binder, in a folder, dividers, I'm going to lose it, Some people excelled in that way. Like they had no binder, they had a book, a notebook, a folder, and that was it. And then just a big stack of papers in their backpack. And they thrived. They absolutely thrived, I'd be curious to see how school is taught today, though. How do kids go about today? What are the requirements of being a good in school? To be a good student, you gotta have a binder still. Is a binder still relevant? Is it gonna be like? I mean, are we gonna be all digital? Because I remember my youngest brother, when he was finishing high school, they would give them actually laptops in order to complete assignments, so that the curriculum was changing. So I wonder, like, what is it at now? And it's been a while since he's been in high school, but it's like, where are they at now? How are they going to be? How is school taught now? I remember I was one of the worst students of all time, but I didn't act like it. I wasn't like super loud or annoying or just causing trouble, causing mayhem. I was just a kind of a quiet kid, and I sucked at school. I mean, I think towards senior year I cared more, but up until then I was just like, who gives a shit, man? Like, what are they gonna do? But I wasn't like a failing kid. I didn't fail out of classes. I just kind of passed them with ease. The most I did was like, I think I should like reassess what I said. I was a mediocre student, whereas I didn't try for straight A's. I didn't try to get an A on every test. Like, I was okay with a B or a C+, but the majority of my tests were B's and C's. Like, if I got a B on a test, I was like, awesome, fuck yeah, I did good. It would be very, very rare that I would get an A plus, A minus, whatever. But then when I did, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I feel good about that. But it was just like that feeling was never enough for me to keep doing that and doing what that felt like. I don't know what it was. I just never was, a good test taker, a good homework kid. I mean, I would do it, yeah, but it wouldn't be like the best. If you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure like teachers grading my homework back in the day, and they hear this podcast, remember that I would turn in shitty assignments. And I remember like, in math, you would always say like, if you don't know the answer to the problem, skip it. Yeah, I would skip it, but I would never go back to it. It would be a disaster. I'd be like, oh shit, yeah, there'd be like 5 problems I wouldn't even do because I would skip it and forget about it. Or sometimes just intentionally be like, I don't know it, fuck it. Maybe this other answer would be, hopefully it's right enough to like, soften the blow of the grade of the assignment. I think about that and I'm like, wow, I was just unmotivated. There wasn't really any motivation to do well in school back then. I don't know what it was. It was just, there wasn't any really. Maybe because some of the teachers that I had where I really sucked also didn't care that much. So I was like, why should I care then? You know what I'm saying? It's always the good teachers that are inspired, enthusiastic, where you want to do well and you want to do good. And like, even though like I wasn't still the best A student, I still felt like I did better than I would have if a teacher like didn't care. If that makes any sense. Like, I did a lot better, I think. And to be honest with you, when I got to college, that all kind of changed. Because once you get to college, once you get to university, whatever, it all changes. You realize that you're paying for it. For the experience, the opportunity, the chance to be, make a better future for yourself. You always look back like, what did my parents do? Did they go to college? They did, but they didn't get that far. And now you always like you have the opportunity to do better than your parents, and to do better than what what you have right now. And the only way to do that is if you do well in college, apparently. So like when I got to college, I was like, okay, enough of that not caring bullshit that I did back when I was in junior high, elementary, high school. I'm going to start caring now and do a lot better. Am I in a 4-year university right now? No, I'm not. I'm in a community college, but like I'm going to do better now and try to get to the university and then still do better. So you remember that you remember now like it's like, all right, this is no longer a game. I got to try. And the wonders trying does for you. I would be getting, B pluses, A's in math tests that I've never done before in my life. Like you would actually give a shit, and it makes wonders. It makes wonders. It's like, wow, I'm better now. I feel better. My positivity is up. It's just like I feel better. And like that carried on from community college to, a university. And I was just like, I'm going to keep doing this because I believe, like, I was no 4.0 student, but I was in the 3-point range, 3.4, 3.5 sometimes. It's like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I know I'm not that smart, but I'm at least trying and doing like work and putting in the work and all that. And like just remembering all that, like you kind of miss school in a way, even though you had to pay for it, and even though that it was kind of annoying at times. The relationships and the friendships that you make in college and university is just so much fun. And it's so, like, it just takes over your life, and you're like, oh man, I like it. Like, I know that I'm busy and I got assignments to do and all that, but it's like, I feel so good, and I feel so, like, appreciated. I feel so involved. For me, it was like, I like it. I enjoy it. And, like, there would be some times where I would be so confused and so, like, jarred up and, like, a lot on my plate that I would be like, okay, well, I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to go to work, and I got to remember to do this, and I got to meet with my classmates on this, and I got to do all this stuff. And then you just remember that you got to take it one at a time. You got to take it, like, slowly and not overthink it and not overdo it and not be like, okay, I got to do all these things at once. You got to take it one by one at a time. So, like, you're not all, you can't overthink it, college. Sometimes I'd be like, I would be so focused on a couple classes, and others I would just, like, kind of forget about. And sometimes I would be going to the classes, but I'd be like, after a couple days or so, like, did I do those assignments? Did I go to that class? Did I see what he had to say? Did I miss a meeting or whatever? Did I miss an assignment? It would be a lot sometimes. Like, I would actually psych myself up sometimes and think that I would have another class that I've never been to since the first day of school. Like, it would be so weird. So, like, I'd be, like, engulfed in my classes, and I would just be like, wait, do I have another class that I've just not been going to, that I've been forgetting about? Because sometimes when you have all that on your plate, it's like, some things you can forget some things and just be like, forget, like, you had a class or forget you had an assignment, and that happens a lot. But you just, I guess it's the fact that I wasn't organized back in high school that kind of came back to bite me, that I'm like, okay, I still got to be organized now. I got to be even more organized than I was before. And even back then in high school and junior high, they would give you planners for, like, to plan out your day, plan out your week or whatever, your assignments, your schedule. I rarely ever used those. I rarely did. They give you those planners, and, like, you just, like, you're like, cool, they're planners. They got, like, all these dates on them that you can put whatever you want to do. They put this time for studying, put this time for, like, homework and all that. And then you, like, think, like, oh wow, like, I don't use it at all, because the weeks go by and you're like, okay, well, I just, you kind of think that you can remember what you had to do, that day, and, like, just, like, apply it then. But, like, that planner, like, in college especially, for me, it helped out a lot, because I would just, at the end of the day, I would go back, after I completed that day of work, I would look at my planner and be like, okay, what do I got this day? The next couple days, what do I got then? And it would remind yourself that you're like, yeah, I got to do this, I got to do that. And it was a lot of help. It was a lot of help, and it helped a lot. And it really just kind of, like, boils down to, like, are you going to put in the work to plan out your week? Like, just some people don't do that, and there's some people just kind of brush it off and, like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. But it's like, you got to be able to do that on the spot and not procrastinate. Because procrastination for me was just one of the bigger things that would just hinder me at everything. Like, I'm never the person to, like, if I have, like, a week or 2 weeks to do an assignment, I would do it the day before, maybe 2 days before. Sometimes I would do it, in a blue, like, just 3 days before, like, trying to get it done early. And, like, you would get it done early, and, like, you would feel so much better. But I don't know why I would never chase that feeling again. I lived in procrastination. Like, I have a buddy of mine, like, a friend of mine, that did his homework, like, when it was assigned. Or, like, when it was, like, barely, like, he had, like, a month to do it. He would do it, like, within a week and would be done with it. Like, he was such a good planner, such a good student. It was so fucking annoying, but, it was fine. He's a good student. He's a good guy. He's successful. That all kind of paid off for him. But, like, it's just, like, we're two different types of people, two different types of work ethic. It would not work with me. I don't know why. But it was, it was fun. It was exciting. It was, again, August always reminds me like of going back to school. I remember back in college, you would have to like register for classes. That would always be so damn annoying, and that would just be frustrating. Like, because you would always like, you want to get out of college as fast as you can, but it's like, it's not going to be able to be done because of the class selection. It's like, I got to go, but it's like, I kind of can't. And I was lucky when I went to Fresno State that I was able to get out of there within 2 years after transferring, because like some people just waste time there. They stay there, they keep going, and they just, they get stuck in there. They never finish or whatever. So it's like I was always lucky and like happy that I was able to get it done within 2 years, because people, I remember, like, they were just, after I already graduated, they would just kind of stick around there, maybe take a semester off. It's like, what are you doing? You got to get out of there. Don't want to keep paying for that. I mean, do you want to keep paying Fresno State your fucking, money to go to school there and like barely take any classes? So it was always like that. You just got to be aware of like, I don't really, I don't want to be here that long. So like, let's just get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be spending money here. I don't want to be spending my time here. I don't want to be having to eat here. Like, the prices at like university campuses on food, like, is just, it piles up, man. It's like, you don't think that it's going to be that much money, but it's like, oh my God. Because whenever you get to school, right, whatever that be, like, nighttime, morning, afternoon, whatever, like, you're always going to be hungry, when you're there. It's just going to happen. You're walking from class to class, studying, doing homework, just waiting there for classes. You're going to get hungry. You're spending all day learning or trying to learn, and like talking to people, or being around people. It's just you're gonna get hungry. You gotta eat. And if it's like, did you bring anything to eat? Nope. We gotta buy something now. So yeah, but like some people just like love that, being in that environment. Like, I, for one, didn't like love it, but I did enjoy it. It was definitely fun. And it was just, it made you think that you were a part of something that, not a lot of people get to be a part of. Like, not everybody gets to go to college. You got to remember that. People just got to go to work once they're out of high school. Some people don't get that luxury to do that. Some people don't get that experience. So, yeah, I mean, like, some people hate college. Some people love it. I'm kind of in the middle of it. I enjoyed it, but I didn't, like, necessarily love the assignments and all that. But being around the people, being around your peers, some professors were really cool. Some were not very cool. So, like, yeah, I mean, I got that from being like August 5th already, like, gearing up for school and all that. So, like, it was always kind of like, and I know I've been out of college for a while, but like, I always get that feeling like, some people are just got to get ready and get, like, my brother's in college right now. Like, it's like, he's got to get ready for school. He works, he's got to get the schedule ready. I think that they're going to be in person this year or this semester. I believe so. Some classes at least. So, like, that's going to be a cool thing for him. So, yeah, I mean, like, that's basically, like, where I'm at right now. That's what I'm thinking. It's weird, but I always kind of have these flashbacks of, like, what college was like and what it was like to be in, on campus. And even though that it wasn't, again, the best time of my life, it was still really, really fun and a good experience. This week I'm going to be able to go see, I believe tomorrow, I'm going to try to see, like, what time is going to be best, but I'm going to try to see The Suicide Squad, because I've been wanting to see this movie, but I don't want to see it in, I'm kind of like skeptical, you would say, like, because I didn't like the first one that much when it first came out. I thought it was a train wreck. I thought it was like pretty much unwatchable in my opinion. Some people thought it wasn't as bad as I thought, but I think now we can all kind of agree that it's not a very good movie, like, really at all. But I'm really excited for this movie because, not because of just, James Gunn and all that. Even though I enjoyed the first Guardians of the Galaxy, the second one is an absolute hot mess. I don't like it at all. I think it's very trashy. I think it's just trying to be funny when it doesn't need to be funny. So, like, with that being said, I'm still going to be excited, optimistic for The Suicide Squad. I think it could be cool, but we'll see about that. But I'm really excited to see it. It's going to be cool, but I think what I'm going to start doing on this podcast is, I've been having a lot of fun with going through IMDB and going to really memey movies, like really like a memey movie. Like, you can think of like maybe like just like a movie that's like, usually like they're animated movies that just are like, what the fuck was that? you watch and it's like, this is just absolutely fucking stupid. Like, for me, I always go to like Angry Birds, Boss Baby, B movie that are like super memey movies. Like they have memes. They're kind of like stupid. You shouldn't really take them seriously. Like, obviously they're kids movies, but they're like not even close to like a Disney movie or a Pixar movie. Like they're just like not even close to that caliber of a movie, in my opinion. But like, so I went to IMDB, just for fun, because I was watching B movie like on the side one day. It was just playing in on the TV, and I was just like, what did people think about this movie? Like, I know it's fun. It's kind of, heartwarming in a way, kind of. It's got Jerry Seinfeld, which I'm a big fan of, so like I'm gonna watch it for that. But it's like, what do people like who love it? Like, what do they think? Or like, what are some reviews on like IMDb where you can actually go and write a review as a user, not like a critic or whatever? Just like, write what you think about it. You can just put a score out of 10 and like write what you want to, like, what you think about it. So, it being B movie, being very memey, being very silly, being kind of stupid in a lot of ways. You look at it and like, I came across a review and I tweeted this like a few months ago because I could not believe what this person wrote about it, because it was so freaking funny and so like out of the box and just kind of weird. Like, and this movie it's nowhere to be, categorized as a good movie or a better movie of DreamWorks Pictures. Like, I know like they have like, I mean, they made Shrek. Shrek is an all-time classic. Madagascar 1 is okay. I'm not a big fan of Madagascar 2 or 3, but like Madagascar 1, actually no, 2 is pretty good. 3, I hated that. Over the Hedge is a pretty good movie. But think back to those classic kind of like older DreamWorks animated movies like that, right? So we're going to Kung Fu Panda, very good movie. But I found this review, and it's clearly a memey review, but it's so damn funny. I just got to read it for you guys. So they rated this movie a 10 out of 10, truly a masterpiece. This cinematic motion picture has some of the most relatable characters, such as Ken, but it also has the most funny jokes as... Soon as I heard the joke, "Do you like jazz?" it had me crack up and fall down on the floor, laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. In conclusion, B movie is a true masterpiece, and I know there are a lot of memes. Is that what they call it? But this movie, which I do not understand because this film is a true cinematic masterpiece, and it beats the great skills of Scorsese and Tarantino. I mean, oh my God. Like, this guy's clearly trolling, clearly just being a meme and just having fun with it. And like 93 out of 107 people found this review helpful, which means that the people who are writing these reviews and on IMDb looking at these reviews know that it's just a big joke, know that it's just a big meme, essentially. Like, this movie has transcended time. It's not, you can't even watch it now as a movie. It's just a meme. Like, you maybe as a little kid showing it now, like a 3-year-old or whatever, yeah, they're gonna be like, it's a movie. But if you show like somebody who like saw this when they were like younger, I mean, they're gonna be like, that's not even a movie, dude. That's a meme. Like, what are you talking about? That's a fucking meme. And it just goes to show you like how people in the meme community just like will just never ever stop with this. Like, it's not gonna be something that you could like bring up and be like, oh yeah, that's a good movie. Like, no, bro, that's a fucking meme. Think about it. Do you like jazz? The fact that a bee is falling in love with a human, and the human is falling in love with the bee. Like, what the fuck? You think about it, and it's like, he mentions Ken, the fiance or the boyfriend of the Renee Zellweger, I believe it is, protagonist. She owns the flower shop, and like because of the bees, like it connects with the flowers and all that. But my man Ken is being beaten by a fucking bee. I mean, like, come on. This is just beyond meme. It's just, it is. It really is. It's just, but it's so funny. Like, you just can't like not laugh at that, because the memes are, I gotta say, funnier than the actual movie. It's just, that's how it is. And like, look, I have no problem with it, but it's just like, at what point do we stop with this meme stuff? When do we stop with the memes? When we just like, think of it or look at it as for what it is? In my opinion, from reading all this stuff, you're never going to see that again, because just memes have just been taken over from, like, back in the day. I remember like a meme was just something simple like Scumbag Steve, or like Bad Luck Brian, back in those days, where you just put like a caption or picture with a top caption and a bottom caption. Like, it was just very more simpler back then. And then if you remember, like, video memes were a thing, GIFs came about, and memes just got more and more, like, I don't know, like mainstream. People just started using them at, whatever they could. And it was just like, do I like this? Do I not like it? I really like it. It turns out I love it. I mean, like, sometimes it could be a little over the top. Other times it can just be like so spicy and so nice and just right in the right place where you're just like, oh yeah, that's good. That's really, really good. And it's just like, you just gotta let it happen, because it's gonna happen, and you just gotta let it happen. Let us now take a break from memes, and we're gonna talk about what's kind of happening within the community of Call of Duty and Warzone. Now, if you're not a big gamer like some people or myself, I would consider me a casual gamer, not a hardcore gamer. I don't play a ton of games, but I did play a lot of Call of Duty Warzone back in the day when it was like, at its peak, you would say. And like, let's just kind of talk about where it's at right now, because it is at a kind of a rough patch. If you don't know, my brother is a streamer. He plays a lot of Warzone, a lot of Battle Royale games, a lot of Call of Duty. He's a big fan of Call of Duty. He has been for a long, long time. And I think that we can all kind of talk about, like, right now, Call of Duty in general, like whether it be Warzone or like the multiplayer, whether it be Modern Warfare or Black Ops, Cold War, wherever you're at about it, the Call of Duty game right now just doesn't seem, in my opinion, the gameplay, whatever, just the game itself, just none of them seem that fun at the moment. Right, none of them do. And that could be just because of the lack of content, you would say. Maybe just you're kind of burnt out of the first-person shooter. Maybe you just want another game to come out. Maybe you're just done with the Battle Royale aspect. Whatever that might be, maybe you're just kind of burnt out on it. Like I am now. And I think that if you look at the community through Twitch, through YouTube, whatever, you can kind of tell, you can see a trend happening. Right now, Warzone is kind of at the bottom, or is dropping ever so quickly in the terms of viewership on Twitch and the people playing it. Because if you don't know this, I'm a big fan of Tim the Tatman and Nick Mercs. And back then, when it was heyday, Warzone, they would be streaming it. Everybody would be watching it. They'd be enjoying it. Everybody loved the game at certain points. It was just blowing up. It was big. It was gigantic. And now you look now, like Warzone at the moment has only 70.8K viewers. Now, that's not bad. It isn't bad at all. But Fortnite is at 117K, and Apex Legends is at 113K. So, I mean, like, you can kind of see, like, there's a bit of a dip. It is a Thursday. It is afternoon. It is close to evening. That could be a thing too. But for the most part, Warzone has taken a little bit of a dip, I would say. And not just in Twitch, though. Like, a lot of the streamers are saying, like, coming out saying, like, we're kind of tired of Warzone, and we're kind of, like, going to maybe not play it as much and maybe not do, like, streams of Warzone that much, or not play it as, or, you're just not going to be in the content feed, the ethos of what's been happening on, because both platforms, Twitch and YouTube, are a little bit different, if you would notice. Like, Twitch doesn't really care what you play as long as you play it, and it's all very viewer-driven based, right? You're going to get viewers on whatever you play, however many times you play, because if you wanted to, like, say you're a small-time streamer, right? You want to break out into streaming. You want to be a big-time streamer. You want to play. Also, you want to play the games that you want to play. You want to have fun with it, and you don't want to be like super controlled about it. And what do you want to play? If you're going to play Warzone, you just gotta know that there's a lot of competition on Warzone. Like, a lot of people stream Warzone, including the big guys, and they get a lot of the views on that. Like, you could be like, maybe one day you'll see like a Warzone has like 120K viewers, right? And then you check who's streaming it, and you see like Nick Mercs is at 60K viewers. Like, so like almost like half of the streaming views are Nick Mercs. And you just got to be like, okay, well, like, that's, that's going to be a big challenge. And then you go down, like, who's after Nick Merckx? Like, Tim the Tatman, 35. Who's after that? Some other guy with, like, 20. It's like, okay, well, the majority of the people that are viewing these games, stick to their streamer, their content creator. So it's like, you got to, be aware of that. Maybe not, start with Warzone. Maybe start with a smaller game. Try to build up from there. But you got to be like, how are you going to please your viewers? What are you going to play? What are you going to do? Like, you just got to be, you got to be very thoughtful in that process of how you're going to, become a streamer. Anyway, back to Warzone. So, like, I think a lot of people are been coming out saying, like, again, we're taking a break. We're going to stop playing it. And it's reached, like, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tatman, this guy named Courage, other people too. They've been making announcement videos and all that. It's even to the point where, like, you can go on Snapchat, right? And I hate this about Snapchat, but, like, like their little news section. Like, I remember seeing, like, a little, like, one of the news snaps that you can read is, like, the Warzone's biggest streamer just kind of, like, quit on Warzone, and it was Nick Merckx. So, like, that news is kind of, like, being, like, fed around the, internet, and everybody's kind of, like, seeing it, and everybody's, like, kind of, like, knowing, like, what's happening with Warzone, and, like, nobody wants to play it, and frankly, neither do I, because, one, at the moment, it's just kind of boring. I mean, like, number two, it's just, like, the boringness has affected everybody else. Like, nobody wants to play it. Like, I remember back then, everybody would want to play it, and everybody would want to try the new guns out. Everybody would want to try the new a new version of the map, or a new addition to the map, or whatever. The new seasons, like, they got battle passes that you can just upgrade, like, every season, just upgrade to get the best. Obviously you want to get the battle pass, the COD points to get the next battle pass, but, like, whatever they have, the weapon drops, skins, blueprints, tracks, whatever. But I think when it came to a couple seasons ago, I would just be like, get the battle pass, I would see what's in it, and I'd be like, okay, it's, like, not a good battle pass, but I guess I'll play it. For me, that's kind of like when it started. It's like, do I want to keep playing this game because the battle pass just isn't all that good? Or is it just the game is just getting kind of boring? I didn't know what it was, so I kind of, like, gave it some time. Again, this was back in Season 2 of Black Ops, so Season 3 came around. I was like, this pass is even worse. What's going on here? The pass is just not appealing. I don't want to play to get these things. I don't care about the guns, whatever. I just, because whatever. I don't know. It got boring and boringer. Season 4 came around. I was like, okay, now the battle pass is even worse, I think. It's just not good. There's no life to it. It just seems very boring. The skins kind of suck for the operators. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, what's going to happen here? What are they going to change? And then it finally got to the breaking point where you're just like, I don't want to play this. Like, there's nothing changing. The map hasn't changed at all, really. I mean, they got a new skin for the Cold War era, but it's like, really? I mean, that's it? And then, for me, I think that there's way, way, way too many guns in Warzone. There's like 80, I think. Just primary. And, like, that is too many to have in a battle royale, I think. It's just too many. Because, like, you gotta remember, like, you just can't have guns with certain stats. You can't. You gotta balance them, you gotta, tweak them, buff them, nerf them, whatever you want to do, but that just, when you keep doing that, and again, there's 80 guns. So it's like, how are they gonna be able to balance, like, a submachine gun, and then an assault rifle, and then a sniper rifle, and then a rocket launcher, whatever, like a marksman rifle? How are they going to balance all those, like, with 80 weapons? And then people can just, like, there's also attachments and perks and all that they got to balance as well. So it's a lot of balancing and a lot of tweaking that I think that in certain times, in certain, like, patches or whatever, in a way, just kind of ruins the game in certain ways. And it's not necessarily the Activision's fault. They kind of got to do that. But I think in a way, like, I've been watching, consuming Warzone content for a while. One of the bigger things is, like, these streamers. They point out these things called metas. And if you don't know what a meta is in a game, it's like the hottest weapon, the best way to get kills. This new weapon this new weapon is better than the past weapons. Like, it's just like what's in the now, what's the phase of the game, what is the gun that everybody's using, and when you exploit that, you get people like Nick Merckx, Tim the Tatman making videos on that and sharing it with the the community. It kind of ruins the game, because then everybody uses it, everybody's going to do that, and everybody's going to be like, using the same thing or using the same attachments and doing the same, type of play as they are. So like the game just kind of feels like it's just in this constant cycle of being influenced by these people that really, it's not their fault really. They do it for content and they do it for the paycheck as well. They got to make money, So it's like, is it, whose fault is it? You could say that it is the streamers, but it also could be Activision's as well, because they're not being up to date with their buffs and what they want to put in the game and how they're going to tweak things. Because you got to remember, they can't just make a gun suck, because then nobody's going to play the game. They got to make it like one gun is better, and then the other one is good but not as good. You can't be too overarching and overlooking like the thing. Like, you got to make sure that the players again stay playing the game, because if they're not, then what's the point? If nobody's going to play the game, then what is the point? Again, I think it's just way too many guns. There's just too many guns. You think about it, and it's like Fortnite has like maybe 10. I'm going to look it up right now. Maybe a little more, but I'm going to look up how many guns does Fortnite have, because I've seen some gameplay of Fortnite. I don't play it. So right now, Apex has 21 weapons. That's not even close to 80. It just isn't. It's so much easier to balance. It's so much easier to tweak and buff and all that. It's not even that hard if you think about it. Like, again, Warzone has 80 weapons with perks and attachments. You got to be able to do all that. And I'm not saying that Apex also has attachments, and also the characters have their own abilities and all that. So like, you got to tweak those as well. But I feel like with that game, they do it a lot better than what Activision is doing. They do it a lot it's a lot easier for them. It doesn't seem like it's as tedious because of the low gun count. Like, again, Apex has 21 weapons, and it's just, you can tell, like, when you play the game, it's not as not as cluttered as Warzone is. It just isn't. And then you look at like Fortnite. I couldn't find a number on like the actual guns that is in Fortnite. But they got like a couple variants of guns. Like, they come in colors, like in different varieties and different rarities. So it's like, it's not as it's more campier than Warzone. But it's like, they've proven that they can balance it a lot better. So it's just like it's a lot, from what I can tell by these battle royales, is that they can do it a lot better than Warzone has, and that's just that's a fact. Having played Apex recently and seeing all the weapons that they have, and seeing that the 21 weapons is just not a big gun count, but it's a lot better balance with the attachments and with the characters and their abilities. It just kind of shows you that they kind of like don't know how to, again, keep up with the mainstream Twitch streamers who keep exposing these metas and all that, and keep doing like what's good and all that. So it's kind of like a double-edged problem in a way. Like, you got Activision who can't keep up with it, from what it seems, and then the Twitch streamers that just kind of like exploit these, buffs and metas and all that. So it's kind of like a collective error, a collective like, this shouldn't be happening. But it's like, what are they gonna do though? Are you gonna tell the streamer that they can't make a video about a meta, or because like they it's ruining the game or whatever? Like, are they gonna listen? Are they gonna do that? I don't think they will, because like, again, a YouTube video that gets that's a meta video about like a gun is gonna make 1,000 it's gonna make them money. So it's like, you gotta like learn how to do it better, like how to do like the bouncing better, how to do like all that better, how to make the game better. For another reason, what I think that they should do, and this is going to be kind of controversial, but I think that they should add another map instead of Rebirth, an actual like 150 player battle royale map. And now you're going to ask me like, well, back in the day when PUBG did their other map, Miramar, it wasn't received all that well. And then they did Sandhawk. It wasn't received as well. And then they did their snow map after that, and they just weren't received as well. And I get it. Like, everybody thinks, like, when they play a battle royale, whether that be Warzone or PUBG, Apex Legends, Fortnite, whatever it is, whenever they introduce a new map, it is usually met with scrutiny and criticism, and everybody's usually like, oh, the other map was better. The first map was better. This new map sucks. Maybe it's because that they knew that happened like in pretty much every other battle royale, that they didn't make a second map or another map of like Verdansk, like another big 150 player map, right? That could be the reason. But if that's the reason, like, why are you so scared about that for? Why does that scare you? Like, that shouldn't, like, make you... I mean, you could be, like, concerned, but, like, that shouldn't, like, prevent you from making another map. Like, that could be potentially better. Like, if you believe that it could be better, then it just might be. You know, like, what I'm saying is, like, when they introduced, like, Miramar back with PUBG, not a lot of people liked it, from what I can tell. I remember when I played it for the first time on console, it just didn't feel like the same game. It just felt bigger, more open, a lot slower than it was, I thought. And when they introduced Sandhawk, I was like, oh, this is more fast-paced. This is a mini battle royale. It's got a lot less space, a lot more space to travel, a lot more ground to cover. It was just, I liked it more, I think. And for some reason, it was just funner that way. But, you know, that's just my taste. But it's also like, you got to like remember, like, there's other people out there that might like the new map better than the original. They just might like it more. So in a way, you got to be careful with that, but you also got to be like kind of optimistic about that. You got to be, in a way, you got to be able to overcome like what the scrutiny and the criticisms of what you can receive, and just go for it. Like, maybe that's what's going to happen with the new update or with the new COD. I think, and I've been talking to my brother about this, like, the new COD might wipe this Warzone completely. It just might do it. Whether that be in World War II or another era that we're just not even knowing about, because the rumor right now is that Call of Duty is going to go back to World War II. Now, why they would do that, I have no idea. In my opinion, you got struggled with Warzone and Modern Warfare. You kept it continuing with Black Ops for kind of, not necessarily the multiplayer, but maybe the era for Black Ops it's okay. It's not the best as it was, I think, with modern times, but it's still good. But if you go, let's say you go back to World War II, right? You're using like an M1 Garand, a Thompson submachine gun. I mean, like, it's just like, we don't want that right now with Warzone. Like, it's just not going to be that good. It's going to be like Battlefield 5's Firestorm. That just wasn't that good. It just wasn't. Like, and that's just, it's not on the players. It's just like, it didn't feel like it was fast enough, that it was fun enough, that it was strategic enough. Like, you can do like with these modern day technologies of like, airstrikes and cluster strikes and, UAVs and all that. It's just like, there's so many other things that Warzone had back in the day when it first came out, that it was just so unique and so good that you can actually use a loadout from multiplayer and put that into Warzone. Like, that was just so cool. It's never been done before, I think. So, like, in my personal opinion, what do I think about this? What should happen? Again, make a new map, lose some of the guns because there's just too many. There's way too many. Like, again, one week, a gun that just came out would be the talk of the town, and the next week it'd be absolute dog shit. Right? It's like, there's too much change happening, I feel like. And it's not the change that we want, really. We want new, better map environments. We want new, better map locations, I think. We want better, what is it? Better, again, the cheating thing, too. I didn't even touch upon that because I rarely see, I think I've seen like maybe a couple times that I've been cheated on a couple times in the game through like a kill cam or whatever, because I can't really tell, like, when I'm just playing the game and I get killed and I'm like, I'm so mad I skipped the kill cam because I'm just mad. But whenever sometimes when I don't, a couple times I have seen, I'm getting shot through like a metal container through the ground below it. It's like, what the fuck just happened? Like, is he just in the ground like shooting me? Because that's not cool. That's going to be a problem. So, like, again, I've experienced it pretty rarely, but like I know like the top streamers and the top creators of content are like, in the game all day, every day. So it's like they're just going to see more of cheaters than I do. It's just going to happen, So I think that, again, those points, new map with new locations, new environments, new, ecosystem, whatever you want to call it, just a new fresh air, breath of fresh air for a new map. Less weapons, please, less weapons, and better balancing and better handling of that balancing. And then maybe less influencer, less streamer influence, because that again also kind of like hinders the developers and like Activision of making the game the best that it could be. And then just, anti-cheat. Take them out on the spot, because I know Fortnite does it, or Apex does it, I think. So like you got to be better at that. You got to be better at that, and just don't make it as like, don't be afraid to take a risk with a weapon, or with a cutting some weapons, or making a new map. Just don't be afraid to take risks. From what I can tell, like Activision has just been sitting on what they've had for like a year and a half now, maybe even more than that, almost 2 years. So like you just got to be able to take a risk now. You have a lot of money going from Warzone, so you can afford that, I would assume. So like I hope that what they do in the next Call of Duty is that they blow this one up, just blow it up and make a new one from scratch. Whether that be World War II, modern day, whatever you do, just make a new one. You don't got to keep this one up. You can make it's going to be a risk, but I think that at this point, people just want a new Warzone. People want a new Battle Royale. They want a fresher taste. And I think that if you do that, and if you're confident in it, it's going to be good. And if you take the time you've had a lot of time to just like experiment with all this. So like if you take the time to just see like what's been happening with the community and all that, it's going to be better. I think. I really do think that it can't be that bad than what we got right now. Right now is pretty bad. Nobody wants to play it. Everybody's bored of it. So if you can avoid what PUBG did back in the day, and just keep developing and keep getting it better and better and better, then you're gonna have a better a good battle royale, which is what everybody wants from you, because you had the best one for a while. I mean, I'll give it to you. Like when it came out, it was a little bit it was a little not the best as it's been, but when it was peak, you had it down. You were defeating everybody. You were defeating Fortnite. You were beating out Apex, PUBG, and all them. You were the king of the battle royales. Nobody was touching you at that point. You got kind of lazy, and now you let everybody else kind of catch up to you. So now you got to come out with a bang this next fall, because if you don't, if you take a hiatus, right, you release the next Call of Duty without the battle royale, take a couple months to develop it, it's gonna look bad. And I know it's gonna be good for you to take time to develop it, but it's like, we have already been wanting a new one for a while now. Like, and you guys know this. If you keep in touch with the community, you got to know it, and you got to be, vigilant, and you got to be optimistic about it. You just got to go for it. Please go for it, because in the end of the day, it's going to be better. It's going to be what we want, hopefully what you want too, and just put yourself back in the conversation about, your Warzone or your Battle Royale being one of the top ones that everybody's playing. That's what you want at the end of the day, because again, Apex is excelling, Fortnite's coming back, so it's like, you got to be put back on the market. You got to be put back into conversation about what people are playing, because at the moment, it's just not that good. It's not in the light you want to be in. Before I wrap up this episode, I just wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit about the Olympics and where we stand, the medal count, the the matchups, what's happening, and what, how I think of that we've been doing, collectively as a country. I think we've been doing pretty well, honestly. If I'm being honest, I think that we're doing well. So far, we're losing to China with the Olympic medal count, which is, credit to them. They've been doing pretty good with the gold medals. So far, they got 34 gold medals, and we have 29 at the moment right now. So we're not doing horrible. We could be doing better. But I've been watching the highlights at night usually, because I don't have, I don't know when they're on during the day, like what's happening, the events. So I've been watching a lot of the track and field, not as much swimming, even though that's kind of over. I've been watching track and field recently. I've been watching the basketball team doing pretty well last night. They beat Australia. comfortably after being a little concerned in the first half, but they came back to win. Now they will be playing France in the gold medal game on Saturday, so that's going to be good. They got an opportunity to avenge their exhibition, or not exhibition, but their first game defeat in the tournament, so that's going to be good. But I think that what's happening now is that what I'm seeing is that a lot of athletes are are competing with a lot of passion lately. I've been seeing like people like Tamara Mensah-Stark and Sydney McLaughlin and again the basketball team and all of them just like really like showing out and like performing very well in these Olympics. Again, like with no fans, no family, no friends in there, like a couple of spectators of their teams watching them, cheer them on. But it's been really cool to just see like how they've been competing under these circumstances, and then with gymnastics and all that, and with with swimming and all that. But it's been exciting, and it's been like kind of like cool to see that, because I never really watched the Olympics like when they're like this far ahead of time or whatever. It's just hard for me to watch them because of the time difference. But I've been watching the clips on YouTube and on Peacock. If you go to Peacock, you can catch up with pretty much anything on that day given. So like that's pretty good. That's a good service to use. Even though that I wish that it was just more on especially the basketball game. The basketball game was on Peacock, but it should have been on NBC. I mean, come on. That's like what we watch in America. That's like one of our bigger sports. USA's in it. Kevin Durant's playing. Like, broadcast that on national TV. Come on, what are you doing? But besides that, I think we've been doing okay. We're not like first like we would want to be, but I still think that what I've been seeing, the highlights and how we've been competing, even though that we've been, when I see the highlights and we lose some events, it's just like at least that they're trying. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least they're giving it their all and trying to do good for the country and good for their family and friends and good for themselves as well, because let's not forget, it is them competing. Like, they're doing it. They're going to be out there competing for the gold medal or silver or bronze, whatever medal. They're doing it for, themselves as well, because they're the ones doing it. They're the ones that took the preparation, the time out of their day, the time out of their schedule to do this, and commitment and sacrifice and struggle and all that. So it's like, it's all them too. It's like, it's not just for the country and their family. It's also for them. Like, and I know, like, as spectators and viewers, we want to make it all about us, as we do it for the people back home. Do it for your country. Do it for your family. But it's also like, yeah, I want to do it for them too. But also, I also want to fucking win this thing. For myself. And I think that at the end of the day, that's also kind of like the biggest, motivation that you can think of. I think like you want to be better than the person next to you, and you want to do it faster, you want to do it better, whatever event it is. And it's just like, I enjoy it. Some of the post-event interviews, the post-match interviews, whatever, some of them can be very, very inspiring, very, very humble. A lot of the athletes, like in track and field, they don't get a lot of attention as like a basketball player, a football player, even like a baseball player. Like they just don't have that kind of like spotlight on them. So when you see like them speak about it, like being super, super humble, like giving it all to their family and like the country and like what motivates them, is just like, because you don't see these people on camera and on TV every day, or on Sports Center every day, you kind of forget that these athletes exist in a way. And we really shouldn't, because they're some of like they just will brighten your day up. They will make it like just like so happy to see some of these people represent the United States of America in the way that they have been. It really is it's a breath of fresh air. It's really, again, heartwarming. It's very, makes you feel good. You feel very good when you're watching them, because it's like, again, they're not like, in the spotlight all the time. So like, they're just, they want to do what they do. They grind for it. They're working a job as well. They're not like, again, like a baseball, football player, basketball player, but that's all they do. They play basketball and that's it. They go live in their mansion, whatever. Because they get paid so much money. Like, I mean, I would bet money that a Olympic track athlete gets nowhere near the amount of money as Kevin Durant. They can't. One, the sport isn't just not as popular as basketball too. Is just you don't get as many eyes, and 3, like, it's not televised. Nobody watches it really as often as you would basketball, football, baseball. It's just it doesn't happen. So, like, again, when you see the humility, the humanity, the humbleness, the not wanting to take anything for granted from these people, it reassures you that, like, yes, they're athletes. They can be role models, inspirations, representation, but at the end of the day, they are just people who have a goal, a dream to accomplish a gold medal and compete in the Olympics and do their country well, represent their country well, and then that's it. That's all it is. There's no scandals. There's no drama. There's no... what's the word for it? Confrontation. There's no rivalry. There's none of that. It's just people competing, at something that they've been competing for years at, to be the best that they can possibly be at. And if you boil it down to that, that's really why you would want to watch the Olympics and enjoy it for that. Again, no drama, none of that. You just watch it to watch it because it's fun to watch. And I think that what we've been seeing with these athletes is that still exists. Nobody's complaining about a contract. Nobody's holding out for a contract. Nobody's got beef with their coach, really. Beef with players. Wanting to make headlines. They do it because that's all they've done and they enjoy doing it. They relieve stress from it. They enjoy doing it. They have fun with it. They've been doing it their entire lives to do this because they've got to know that it's not going to get paid as much as, an athlete from the NBA. They just got to know that. And to see the pure excitement and joy when they win, their face, they break into tears, they cry, they thank their parents, their country, their God, whatever they thank it. It's just like, it is so genuine and just, it is great to see. It really is. Even though that the Olympics has got like events like, again, sprinting and swimming and all that, and you don't really watch them and all that, but it's really about like who competes and their emotion and their passion for what they do. Come out onto the track or the pool or the field or whatever, and just like really like just you get engulfed by it. And it's there's nothing better to watch in right now. I think it's just very, very positive and very, very uplifting, and just that's what I like about the Olympics. It's just the ability to bring people together through sport. I mean, it is great. It is fantastic. It's not over yet. Again, you got a couple more days of competition, but it feels like we might not beat China in gold medals. But, we'll see what happens. I mean, like, they're doing very well. Right now, it goes from China, United States, Japan, Australia, and then the Russian Olympic Committee. When you go from, the amount of medals that we've won. And it's being counted in a weird way because I think right now, because China has a total of 74, we have a total of 91, but it's being counted as gold medals because that's what really matters, right? I mean, like, you can win a silver or gold, like, that's great for you, but, like, in this counting list, they are, basically just fucking counting gold medals, which is fine, I guess. That's whatever. Yeah, gonna end it there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Again, you can find The Intelligent Moron on Alex Silva, or The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva, on all podcast platforms, whether it be Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also on YouTube, that gets updated every week, usually like around 9 p.m. or whatever, but I try to get it done a little bit earlier. But yeah, that's when it comes out. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys back next week.